Okay, so we have a dark and morbid commercial in this Halloween special of WandaVision, leaving us on a cliffhanger. We need to have a spoiler-filled discussion of this. Let's go. All right, everybody, welcome to KM Reviews. I am Niddleman. Now, there's going to be a lot of videos out there breaking down the episode, every little Easter egg, every little plot point. So that's not what I'm going to do here. That video would take way too long. So I'm just going to talk about a few key points that I just found really interesting, a couple theories that I have going forward, and stuff like that. And so I'm going to begin with this commercial because that's what stuck out to me most in this entire episode. There's a lot of stuff that happened, but we have this commercial and it's like a 90s themed, almost like a Fruit by the Foot commercial or something where it's like claymation and stuff, but it's very dark and morbid, right? We have this commercial where you have this person stuck on this island and a shark comes up, gives him some yogurt, some yo magic, and then the kid can't open the yogurt and like days are going by and he just like whittles away into a skeleton and it's over. And I was like, wow, what the heck does that mean? So I've been kind of marinating on that, and it can mean a few different things. Now, as we know in this episode, you know, Vision in the last episode was talking about like how she's controlling everybody. She's like, what, you think I control everybody in this town and I'm making them go to doctor appointments and blah, 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 blah. Well, we saw in this episode that kind of the farther away she is from people, the less she controls them until they're basically just stuck like a statue. You know, if they're somewhat closer in the vicinity, they're almost like an animatronic at Disney World, you know, just kind of like doing the same motion over and over again until they're like stuck in one place. And when Vision flies up in the sky, you see that essentially it's just focused around her where all the action is happening, so to speak. Now, how I think this relates to the commercial. The kid in the commercial is like unable to open the yogurt and like starves to death. And I was thinking, you know, I wonder if she's neglecting to feed these people, you know, the ones that aren't around her all the time, that are kind of farther off in the perimeter. Are they just like starving to death because they can't eat because they're just stuck like a statue? Like, is she slowly killing these people without realizing it? That's one theory. Another theory that I had, that's probably kind of the more far-fetched one, because every other commercial has been more directly about her and her trauma from her past. So I think the other theory I have is this was just kind of talking about her magic, yo magic, as it says, was kind of contained, and she was unable to open up all of her possibilities, all the potential that she had, and it led to death, right? Because she was unable to open up all of her magic that she was capable of, Vision died, other Avengers died, Thanos got off the snap, all this stuff. She's lost so many people in her life because she was unable to fully open up her powers. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is just this episode overall. I loved this 90s/2000s type of theme. I think that they're kind of blending the decades at this point, because this one was more like a Malcolm in the Middle type of episode, which I think was more 2000s. But at the same rate, it was a great opening sequence. I love that part with Vision. He's like about to hit the kid with the newspaper and how they incorporated her brother into it, and kind of breaking the fourth wall, right? Where the kids are like talking to the audience, us. I found that really interesting, and I really liked the vibe. This show is doing such a great job at capturing the essence of the different decades. But now, how can we talk about this show without talking about Evan Peters? He was the big cliffhanger last week. Is he actually Quicksilver? Is he the X-Men Quicksilver? Is he Mephisto? Is he Nightmare? Is he some other thing? Whatever. You know, I think people are looking too into this. I think, again, obviously, what do I know? But I'm still 75% sure that he is the X-Men Quicksilver. My reason for this is because I think the writers, you know, I just don't see how he'd be anyone else and have it make sense, because I think the writers are smart enough to know that if they put in Evan Peters, people are going to assume, oh, it's Quicksilver from X-Men. I watched a lot of reactions. Everyone's like, oh, it's Quicksilver from X-Men. They're introducing the X-Men. They're introducing the mutants. People would be very confused if it turned out he was someone else, right? Because if it's someone trying to impersonate her brother, why wouldn't, and he could like shapeshift in some way, why wouldn't he just show up as her actual brother, that Aaron Taylor Johnson character? Now, behind the scenes, I'm sure maybe they couldn't get him or something. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't cast him, so they're trying to think of something more creative of why he looks different and stuff. But if you're going to do that, why not just use another actor? They could use any other actor and do that same story point. If they're going to specifically use Evan Peters from the X-Men franchise who played Quicksilver in X-Men, you got to have a damn good reason as to why you're doing that. Not just like, oh, he's Mephisto, and it's just like a wink to the audience about X-Men. I don't think they're going to do a casting like that just as like a fan service thing. I think it's going to be, obviously, there's still a lot more explanations to do with that character, but we know this leads into the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie. We know there's a multiverse, obviously. It's in the title of that movie. And I think it just makes sense that she wanted her brother back so bad that somehow at some point he was brought in from the multiverse, from the X-Men universe, essentially, and put in here. And because he's within the hex, his memories and her memories are kind of manifesting into memories that she doesn't remember. Like he has that like flashback in the episode, and she's like, that's not quite how I remember it. But that's because it's not her real brother, it's the X-Men brother, and their memories are clashing. So I don't know. I think people are looking way too deep into it. But what the hell do I know? I could be way off, and it turns out to be Mephisto. I think Mephisto is definitely like the other 25-30% of what I think he is, because of the way he keeps referencing, like my demon children and stuff like that, like raise havoc, and he talks about nightmares a few times, like maybe he's Nightmare, but I think those are more of the Easter eggs and the hints of fan service type of stuff. I think the actual casting, he is the one from X-Men. But if he's Mephisto or Nightmare or some other thing, I trust the writers enough that they'll make it make sense. But I can tell you this much. I have not theorized about a show so much and watched an episode over and over again to try to get little clues and things since that show Lost came out a long time ago. I used to watch that show every episode a couple times, and I'd go watch videos on theories and stuff. It's been a long time since I've had fun like this with a show, like waiting until like the episode drops. Boom, I got to watch it. I got like no sleep last night because I had to watch it super late at night. Now, this also leads to a big cliffhanger in the show because Vision, he escapes this confine of her hex, right? And at first I was thinking maybe when he walks out, he's just going to drop to his knees and turn into that gray dude, right? With the dent in the middle of his head. But he didn't. It's like the thing was trying to suck him back in piece by piece, and he slowly kind of started falling apart, almost like the pieces we saw him in that little video where she goes and steals him, right? It seemed like he was falling apart. So Wanda, after her kids kind of mention what's going on, she gets pissed and freezes everybody. I'm pretty sure kids and her brother included, and freaking expands this hex like crazy, right? It's freaking going huge. It engulfs the sword people. They're turning into clowns and stuff. It was actually a pretty epic scene. But my God, it's like, where does her power end? She is very powerful, and she's becoming the villain. That's the other thing. That's the other reason I don't think that Evan Peters is Mephisto, is I think she's becoming the villain. The best villains are the ones you can kind of understand where they're coming from, and they have a more human perspective. We've seen all the trauma that she's gone through. We kind of know why she's doing what she's doing. She wants her family. She wants to live a happy life, but it's causing her to do these bad things. And now it's getting a little bit more crazy. And now the person that she loves, that she wants to be there with, isn't really appreciating it. He's trying to escape. He's almost dying again. So now she's making it bigger. And I think it's going to a certain point, I think she's going to end up being the villain in the new Doctor Strange movie. I think she is the villain of the show. Everyone's trying to think who else it could be. It's right in front of your face. Like, she is the villain, in my opinion. Obviously, the next episode, I could be like, and, I'm wrong. But now going into the next episode, we have a lot of figuring out to do. There's a lot of theory. Now, you could just wait till the next episode, but it's fun to theorize, right? So the big questions are, what happened to Darcy after she gets sucked in? Because everyone else, they kind of show what it turns into and who they turn into, except for her. It's like, is she going to become one of the cast? I don't know what's going to happen with her. Also, who is this aerospace engineer? That's another one I think people are looking a little bit too far into, because she says, oh, my guy is coming. And people are like, oh, well, guy can mean man or woman. She didn't say man. It's like, you guys, it's a dude. Let's be realistic. I think the writers are smart enough to know all of us are going to be breaking this thing down. I think it's going to be a guy. I think it's going to be, and I don't think it's going to be anyone in the Fantastic Four like Reed Richards or Doctor Doom. I think it's going to be somebody that we've seen before, whether it was in the MCU franchise or the X-Men franchise or something like that. I think this is going to be the big cameo that, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen keep referring to, that's supposed to be Luke Skywalker level. It could be the aerospace engineer. It could be whoever turns out to be the villain, but I think it's going to be the engineer person who's going to help them create this stuff. And I don't know who it's going to be, though. I wanted to say it would be Shuri, how do you, the one from Black Panther, but she got blipped, and I don't know, she's only been back a couple weeks, probably figuring stuff out with her, Wakanda and stuff. I don't think it's going to be her. So I don't really know who it's going to be, but I do think it's going to be somebody we already know. I just don't know who. Now, I say that's going to be the big cameo, but, now that I'm thinking about it, I know who I want it to be. I really want it to be Professor Xavier. I really want it to be Patrick Stewart. I know he's met with Kevin Feige. He, kind of had his farewell in Logan, but I think this would be the perfect show to bring him in and do Luke Skywalker type of stuff, right? Because what is Wanda doing? She's mind controlling everybody in there. What does Professor X do? He could easily be someone that comes in and helps out. Maybe he, because of the multiverse thing, maybe he somehow senses Evan Peters is out there. What the heck's going on? I don't know. I don't know how the hell they'll bring him in. No idea. But I'm hoping that he comes on the show and he's the one that has to kind of take her down, right? And he's the one that has to get in her head. And maybe they have a whole sequence where stuff's going on in her head. I don't know. But I think he's going to be the one that has to release people from her mind control so they can escape. And it's going to lead to some sort of climactic battle of some kind. I have no idea. No idea. But that's who I want it to be. Do I think it's actually going to happen? Probably not. But that would be cool. Who do you guys want it to be? Who do you want the cameo to be? Let me know. Comment below. Tell me why you think it's that person or who you want it to be and why. Who do you think the aerospace engineer is going to be? Let me know in the comments below. What happened to Darcy? What do you think is going to happen to her? I don't know. Just, you know what to do. Comment below. I'm just shooting this video off the cuff. That's really all there is to talk about with this. Again, there's going to be tons of videos out there for you guys to watch with breakdowns of every little scene and clip and frame of the show with a bunch of other theories and stuff. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. This show is awesome. I can't wait to watch the next one. I think the next one is going to be the only kind of footage we haven't really seen from this episode or this show yet, which is that one where she's kind of talking to the camera, about Case of the Mondays. It's going to be kind of like Modern Family, I think. That's my guess. Or maybe The Office or something like that, where it's like the fake documentary type of thing. I don't know. It'll be interesting. But then we still have 2 other episodes after that. I think the last 2 episodes is all going to be footage that we haven't seen yet. Maybe there's going to be an episode that's an entire flashback episode where we see everything that led up to this. Because we have seen some clips in the previews where we see her going in to get Vision's body, where it's not just like crappy security footage, but it's actually like her. I think there's going to be a whole backstory episode. The penultimate episode, I think, is going to be the one where we see how this all happened, and then we'll have the finale. I don't know. But that's all I have to say about that.